Hello, good evening, viewers. This is Satellite Media. Let us look at this issue where an Obi have decided to write Tinubu over POS charges. Remember that in recent time, the POS charge have risen seriously, and the speculation out there is that the tax imposed on the operators by federal government is the reason we are seeing that serious increase. It's no longer a rumor that this government is seriously driving tax in every area of life to maybe show up federal government revenue. But people are saying that before you tax the people, let the people earn first. The tax trajectory of this government is serious, and Obi have always maintained that we should move away from consumption to product. As we should move away from, we should start producing aggressively. That is the only way you can address the issue of Nigeria, particularly the economy that is not smiling. And I don't know why it is difficult for government to think in that direction, because the way it stands, the only way this government think is to make money is to tax the people. I'm not saying tax is wrong, but before you tax the people, let the people earn first. Because the idea of diversifying the economy, the idea of moving away from mono economy, I don't think this government is giving a priority attention. Even in the current bill before the National Assembly, talking about the tax reform bills, the government is proposing increase in VAT. Though the governors met recently and said there should be no increase in VAT. But Obi is very vocal in his position. He has remained resolute in that same position. He has maintained it for some time that we will need to move into production as a way of solving this problem. Though people from the region where he come from, talking about the Igbos, are not interested in Nigerian politics. In fact, of course, they are not interested in anything in Nigeria. They have made it very clear that they want their own sovereign state called Biafra. But Obi have maintained his position that we need to move away from this our trajectory and go into production proper. And he have taken time, taken pain to explain the way we can get out of this quagmire, how we can diversify into agriculture, diversify into solid mineral, and the government seem not to be giving it priority attention. Now, if you look at the policy of this government that is causing all this hardship, the government initially made us understand that they were going to review the policies if need be. I think there is need, but the government seems to be adamant, seem not to be willing to review it, perhaps because they are smiling to the government is smiling to the bank, the thing is earning government money, and the government is perhaps not interested in what is happening to the people. We have seen 2 rounds of protests last year, and the way it stands, if care is not taken, we may be seeing another round of protest because the people are not comfortable with the situation at all. And I don't know why the government is not shifting ground. After all, the constitution is very clear about what shall constitute the primary purpose of governance, to the point that the constitution says the welfare of the people and their security shall be the primary purpose of governance. This time around, their welfare is a thing of concern. Talking about the last military period, we saw stampede in Ibadan, we saw stampede in Anambra, we saw another one in Abuja, and all these stampedes came about because of hardship, because of the quest to get what to eat. So if the government, seeing that this is the situation, is not reviewing their policy that is bringing all these things, then it shows that the government is not prioritizing the welfare of the people. Let me quickly dive into one area of the welfare of the people that the government needed to give priority attention. I'm talking about the policy of unification of FS at the official window and the policy of subsidy removal on gasoline. Personally, I'm of the view that the two policies ought not to go together, because when you remove subsidy on gasoline, the government made us to understand that will be earning them 4 trillion naira at the end of the year. So I'm of the view that the time you remove subsidy on gasoline was not the best time to unify FS at the official window. Because what that does is, if you unify FS at the official window, the exchange will skyrocket. And that is the consequence we are currently facing. And I listened to Mr. President during his that chat during the last unitary period, where he said he wants to see inflation come down from 34.6% to about 15%. He only talk about how he hoped to reduce the cost of medicals in Nigeria. Then one begins to ask questions as to how do he hope to achieve that if the status quo remains the same. The status quo I'm talking about is the current exchange rate. For instance, if you look at the medical, almost every raw material we need to produce medicals in Nigeria are imported. So if you are using an exchange rate of 1,500 to import raw materials for production in medical areas, I don't think the cost of medicals will come down. Because before Muhammad Buhari left government, exchange rate at the official window was 471 naira to a dollar, and currently is 1,500 naira to a dollar, if not more than. So definitely the raw material you are importing at that current rate will impact on the product you are producing. I'm of the view that when we remove subsidy on gasoline, the about 4.7 trillion we are getting at the end of the month, at the end of the year, should have been used to diversify into other areas of human endeavor. For instance, diversify into agriculture, diversify into solid mineral, and even develop our steel sector. If we get it right in our steel sector, certainly we'll be capturing African markets. And if that happens, it may even give us money more than the crude oil we are looking at. So I'm of the view that after removing subsidy on gasoline, the money you free from that angle, use it to diversify the economy. By the time we now start exporting, to start earning foreign exchange from those exports, I think that is the right time we should have been ripe to unify FS at the official window. But currently, I don't think the government got it right. Though the policy is giving government money, but another thing is, should they be giving government money at the expense of the welfare of the people? That is one thing government needs to give serious attention and consideration to. Because if you say you are getting 4 trillion, approximately 4 trillion at the end of the year from unification of FS at the official window, and this is bringing about hardship, affecting people's welfare, then how do you manage that? And we are not seeing enough, or rather, yes, sufficient ameliorating factors from the government. Talking about palliative, we are not seeing it. The only last time we hear something like that was when the former Minister of Humanitarian Affairs was attempted to do something in that regard. You understand that the allegation then was that the money meant for vulnerable in Lagos State and in Akwa Ibom were paid into personal or private accounts, and that have since seen the minister suspended. And ever since then, we have not heard anything from the government whether the allegation against the minister, suspended minister, is true or not, and what the government is doing in that regard to address the concerns of the vulnerable. But I think the government, as a matter of urgency and necessity, must give the plight of the vulnerable priority attention. I must say very big thank you for your time. This is Satellite Media and I'm Mr. Matu.